Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Biopilates Deep Dive. Today, I'll guide you through the obliques exercise. There is something deeply human about the movement of the obliques. It's a spiral, a braiding, a glide between two dimensions, the vertical axis and the diagonal. Today, I invite you to dive into this subtle architecture, often overlooked, the oblique musculature. It allows us to twist, to look behind us, to walk gracefully, and to embrace the world through rotation. The obliques are divided into two major groups, the external obliques, closer to the surface, and the internal obliques, deeper within. They cross, overlap, intertwine, creating a dynamic weave around our trunk. The external obliques run diagonally downward from the rib cage to the pelvis. The internal obliques rise diagonally upward from the iliac crest, wrapping toward the ribs. Together they weave a strong, intelligent net, both stabilizing and mobilizing. When we activate the obliques, we enter a fascinating territory, that of controlled spiraling. And to help you feel that within your own body, I invite you to join me in the classic obliques exercise on the mat. Lie on your back, legs in tabletop, knees above hips, shins parallel to the floor. Place your hands behind your head, elbows wide. Find your neutral spine or a slight imprint, depending on your level. Your gaze is soft, directed toward your thighs. Inhale to prepare. Then exhale, engage your core, and lift into thoracic flexion as high as you can while maintaining stability in your neutral or imprint position. Stay lifted as you rotate your torso toward your left knee and extend your right leg diagonally at a 45-degree angle. Inhale to return to center, exhale to switch sides, and this is where a real challenge emerges, pelvic stability. Because within the visible grace of this spiral, a deep internal tension is organizing. The leg extends, the torso twists, and the pelvis wants to follow. It wants to rotate along with the rest of the body. But the intelligence of movement lies in not letting it. This is where the true work begins. The leg moves away from the center of gravity, and to prevent the pelvis from tipping, we need precise, silent, deep anchoring. It's a deep engagement of the transverse abdominis, but also a subtle stabilization of the opposite hip, often forgotten. We also activate the pelvic floor and call upon the deep spinal muscles, the multifidi, the short and long rotatores, all those small postural muscles that don't seek to impress, but to sustain. And in this spiral, there is a key principle to understand: contralateral contraction. When you rotate your torso to the right, your right internal obliques contract, your left external obliques complete the rotation, and in the back, your left multifidi and rotatores provide a fine rotational anchor. It's a cross-body coordination, a deep choreography between front and back, right and left, surface and depth. And this internal conversation doesn't happen without messengers, because behind every movement lies a neural exchange. An impulse is born in the brain, travels down the nerves, and reaches the muscles through synapses, tiny spaces between two neurons where the message is transmitted, not electrically, but chemically. When an impulse reaches the end of a neuron, it releases a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger, into the synaptic space. This message crosses the tiny gap, binds to the next neuron, and activates a response. It's an electrochemical alchemy, a dance of microscopic particles that turns thought into motion, intention into spiral. And once its mission is complete, what happens to the messenger? The neurotransmitter doesn't just linger. It is either broken down by enzymes or reabsorbed and recycled by the original neuron in a process called reuptake. The system is finely tuned, like a well-conducted orchestra. It delivers, it acts, and it disappears. This ensures precision in signaling. Too much message means confusion, too little silence. And the more you repeat this movement with attention, the more your nervous system reorganizes itself. This is what we call neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to build new circuits, to strengthen some connections and prune others. Each time you practice with awareness, you're not just training your muscles, you're literally sculpting your brain. You become more skilled, more stable, more precise, and more present. The movement seems simple, but the intelligence it calls upon is vast. It takes sharp awareness to feel these layers contracting without tipping, without tensing, without collapsing into the gesture. And the more you seek that precision, the more refined your perception becomes. The movement becomes like an invisible seam, a thread that runs diagonally across your body from fingertips to crown, passing through the midline. And then there's something every practitioner knows, the obliques, along with the 100, the double leg stretch, and the slow double leg stretch, form one of the most demanding and relentless Pilates series. When these exercises are performed in sequence without pause, with steady breath and focused mind, something extraordinary happens. They mobilize thoracic flexion, pelvic stability, proprioception, and mental resilience. The core is deeply challenged, and the mind, laser focused, learns not to flee. Each repetition becomes a test of endurance, of coordination, of willpower. It's not a brutal pain, but a woven intensity, almost elegant, almost noble, not a punishment, a forge, an alchemy where breath, intention, and precision give rise to a freer spine, a steadier mind, a more embodied posture. Often people believe this exercise is just for working the waistline, but it is so much more than that. It's an education in intelligent spiraling, a construction of movement from the center outward. It protects the spine. It organizes the deep abdominal layers. It sharpens postural awareness. In daily life, we twist without thinking, and often the neck pays the price or the lower back suffers. The obliques offer us an alternative to rotate gracefully, to return to center without tension. They become the body's diplomats, those who mediate between stability and motion. And even more deeply, they teach us something else. To work the obliques is to give yourself permission to change direction without harm, to look differently without getting lost. In this spiraling motion, there's a kind of forgiveness, a gentle way to revisit your blind spots. The obliques are the muscles of inner reorientation, not the ones that flee, the ones that adjust, the ones that trace a path between 2 points of tension. So next time you practice this exercise, don't chase the burn, follow the thread, the diagonal thread, the thread that connects, the one that weaves together breath, direction, and awareness. Take a breath, rotate gently to the left, extend your right leg, and listen to what your body is saying. It speaks in obliques. Thank you for listening, and see you soon for another episode of Biopilates Deep Dive.